Welcome to another episode of Pit Lane Parlay.
Welcome to another episode of Pit Lane Parlay. My name is host Mike Jokum. Joining me on a special recording is Indy Lights driver Toby Sowery. Toby, first off, how are you? And thanks for joining.
No, thank you for inviting me. But I'm good, thank you. Enjoying my time back in the UK in our off-season.
Yeah, so, from your perspective in the off-season, do things slow down or are you constantly chasing sponsorship opportunities, going to meetings and that sort of thing? So is it, are you almost looking forward to getting to the racing point of the season?
Yeah, to be fair, the off-season goes as slow as you'd ever imagine. It almost feels like you fit a whole season between, say, October and February. Time stands still, but it gives you a lot of time to recharge the batteries, make new contacts, and actually go and find your sponsors, which is quite helpful. But yeah, that first round it's always good to get going again.
Yeah, totally understand. So looking back on 2019, kind of went from we see him, at what the time was called BN Racing / Pelfrey for the first couple rounds. We didn't know if you were going to continue. Was it tough to not know if you were going to be in the next Indy Lights race or not?
It had its pros and cons. Obviously, then there's no stress of having to fight for a championship. There's kind of no pressure on performances, but at the same time, you really try and put the best effort in to make sure that you come back to the next race. So again, like I said, it has its pros and cons. But I've been in a situation before, so it didn't really make too much of an effect for me. But it's always nice to have that security.
Yeah, and I don't remember because I may have missed the announcement. At what point in the season were you confident in going, okay, I've got the full season ride now, let me grind out here and get a win and keep going towards the championship?
Probably the last round at Laguna. It was tough. It was kind of race by race. I think when we did St. Petersburg, it was pretty obvious to us that we could make COTA happen. And then it was a bit of a break for us to come back and actually try and figure out how to sort the rest of the season out. So there wasn't ever a point where I felt I had the whole season under wrap. We just, my team around me, my parents, everyone supporting us as well, our investors, they all were very cooperative in trying to make 2019 happen. And, we ended up managing that. So it was a group effort along the way.
Yeah, and in the end, 7 podiums, a win in Portland, and third in the standings, considering you didn't know if you were going to be racing the next weekend for the most part, is incredibly impressive. So what was it like working with all of the guys from BN Racing / the renamed HMD Motorsports partway through the year?
It was good. The results kind of speak for themselves, and we had a good group of people around us, good mechanics, good engineers. It definitely wasn't easy throughout the season, having so many changes going on. So we had, obviously, like you said, the rebranding from BN to HMD. We lost a few people there. We then also changed engineers and workshop as well, which kind of threw a bit of a mix up. But, as I said, we managed a fair few podiums, third in the championship and a race win, which at this level, although the grid wasn't massive, it wasn't uncompetitive grid. So it kind of speaks for itself in terms of our results and our overall pace consistently. We had a few bang rounds at Indy, and COTA wasn't amazing, but, generally speaking, we were there or thereabouts. So it was, there was a good group of people around us, which made it an enjoyable season as well.
Yeah, for sure. I know it wasn't a deep field with 9 cars, but going against the likes of Oliver Askew and whatnot, really leads to finishing second or third in a majority of the races makes it even more impressive with who you're going against. You're looking back at your racing career before Indy Lights this year, you did 2 races at what was then called Pro Mazda in 2018, finished second both races.
Yeah.
And then back in 2017, you had 2 USF 2000 races. So really before this year, you hadn't done a lot of racing on, well, pretty much any of the circuits you were at this year. What made you decide this year, I want to go all in with Indy Lights versus continuing on over on the European? I think you were doing some sports cars and whatnot over there. What was that deciding moment?
To be fair, it was just the opportunity of the first race at St. Petersburg. Like you mentioned, we had 2 weekends prior to our 29 Lights campaign in USF at Barber and Indy Pro at Road America. But those are both just, a bit of fun, come out and see what this scene's like and just see how we got on. There was nothing serious about it. It was just, we got the opportunity and thought it would be a good weekend. So it was more, we got the call to do St. Petersburg, and that opportunity, it was like, let's try and make this work because it's a serious championship, especially as it lies right under IndyCar. So I don't think there was ever a point where it wasn't like, let's see if we can make this work. It was always, we've had this opportunity, now let's turn it into something serious. Whereas, like you said, the 2 races we'd done in the other steps of the road to Indy, they weren't as serious.
Sure, makes sense there. I have to ask, and I'm pretty sure I asked this when we sat down in Laguna or wherever it was towards the end of the year. You started working with John Comiskey when the HMD Motorsports rebrand happened. What was it like working with John? For those who don't know, he was with Penske in the 90s when Beast engine came out, which is in the Beast. What was it like working with John? I know he's one of the smartest guys in the engineering world.
Every moment was enjoyable. The first time I met him was at Mid-Ohio, just after the crash, and I think the first thing he said to me was, "Don't crash again," which kind of laughed off, but you could see he was quite serious. But it was insight to what John's like. He's a very good man at what he does. He's been around a long time. He's got all the right ideas. His approach is correct, and actually, the more time we spent together, the better we got along. He was incredibly professional. A good guy outside of the track as well. He's not one of these people that you never see outside of a race event. He's just very humble and a very nice guy, as well as being very, very good at what he does. So, like you said, we worked with him, and there wasn't any one point where I didn't enjoy being close with John and just, kind of following what he was saying and learning from him.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite people to talk to, and having seen his shop in person with the old Penske car he's restoring. He's got a lot going on, and it's all fantastic. So I don't know how much you can answer this next question. And I know we've joked about it in the past. You probably know it's coming already, but you have Rich Energy on the car last year. Everybody knows how ridiculous their social media is. 1, did you get to talk to the man in charge at Rich Energy? And 2, what is it like having them on the car and then seeing the creativeness, let's call it, of everything you see on social media?
Well, to answer the first question, yeah, I do know the main man behind Rich Energy, William, and I get on really well with him. He is, let's say, a unusual character in terms of what the standard image provides, but I have a lot of time for him. I don't have an issue with how he goes about things. At the end of the day, it's his choice. I don't actually know who caused all the controversy, but if that was him, then it's his place to do so. But again, it didn't actually affect me in any way at all. I think I got one comment about it over the whole time that I've been with them, so it didn't really affect me as such. But it's nice to see that even if it's, let's say, negative press in terms of what people and fans see, it actually does bring a little bit of limelight to me without being directly under the spotlights of what people disagree with. But, I love the brand. I love the company. I thought it was very exciting when it all first started. and I think it's, potentially still got some legs to keep going with how they plan. And I know in the USA as well, they're still very much keen to resume on my car. So yeah, it's for me, it hasn't really affected our relationship at all. And I think it's an exciting, definitely an exciting company to be around.
Yeah, I hope they continue with you, because I do like those rich energy drinks for a little pick-me-up afternoon. Funny.
I'm sure they'll be on, so you can have some.
Oh, perfect. It's funny when I grabbed that Rich Energy T-shirt from you in, I think it was Toronto, and I posted, "Wow, Rich Energy has T-shirts." I got shredded up and down on social media, and you didn't.
No, I don't think I've ever had any negativity.
Yeah. I took the bullet for you on that one.
Feel free to carry on taking them if any more come around.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as if they keep sponsoring you, I'll step in front of the front and handle that one again, because that's my favorite T-shirt to wear to the gym now, because nobody knows what Rich Energy is here yet. So moving on, one last 2019 question. You had, outside of Mid-Ohio's crash and the first race at the Indy Road Course and Gateway were kind of the three outliers to 2019. Is there one race that, maybe you were close to a win, or one of those races that didn't go so well that you look back and go, if I just did one thing, I would have been much better off?
Yeah, I personally think overall as a weekend, COTA was rather bad for us, because we should have had 2 podiums, but I think both Robert McGuinness and myself got a little bit distracted with racing, took the life out of our tyres, and ended up finishing a lot further down than we both should have. So in terms of results, I'd have changed COTA, but I actually think people enjoy watching racing. And although our results might not have been amazing, I don't think it would have changed anything in terms of championship. So we put on a good show, and everyone enjoyed that race. And I think that's the go-to race from 2019. So I think there's not much I'd change. Maybe Gateway, how the race actually turned out. But no, considering I've never driven any of the circuits apart from Road America, I don't think we did too bad at all.
Yeah, no, I agree there. Good feedback there. And yes, the COTA race both of them were very exciting. One more Indy Lights question, then I'll slightly change the subject. But in general, Indy Lights, you're not doing pit stops unless you have a flat tire or a broken wing. So when drivers get to IndyCar, one of the things they have to learn is pit stops, in laps, out laps. Do you think it would be beneficial, maybe not for the lower series in terms of, keeping costs in line, but for Indy Lights to add some sort of mandated pit stop just for, drivers to gain valuable experience?
Oh, that's a tough question, because you can look at it from both perspectives. Having raced GT3, I don't think pit stops are particularly challenging, especially as we had to get in and out of car as well in a certain time, and they were a lot more complex than, say, single-seater pit stop. So I think there's always this big worry about drivers never doing it, having never done it before, stepping up to such a high series. But then again, I think the way Formula 2 run their weekends, where they have one race where you have a mandatory pit stop and then one without, I think that's a very good approach, because it gives drivers who maybe aren't so good at pit stops the opportunity to do well in another race. I think it would be more exciting, possibly, but I don't think it's essential for us to have that.
Interesting. I like that perspective. So slightly changing gears here as we approach the 2020 season with the COTA Open tests, just a few weeks away. And, I know your plans aren't 100% definitive yet. So if you are reaching out to a sponsor through this episode right here, what are you telling them? Why should somebody sponsor Toby Sowery, and what do you have to offer in terms of racecraft?
I think for a sponsor to jump on now is probably the best opportunity in time-wise, because I believe we are on the cusp of making a very good career, and I believe with the right support and the right people around me, I can have a very long, successful career in IndyCar or wherever I end up after. But I do believe I can be successful in terms of stepping up to IndyCar. I think that it will be a very suited environment for me as a driver. So I have that faith in myself that performances won't be an issue. And obviously then you get the brand recognition, ambassador roles, things like that, you know, most people aren't aware of, that you are offering that service as well.
I love it. Well, if anybody out there is listening and curious, please reach out to us and we'll put you in contact with Toby. We want to see him on the grid this year. We'll keep it short here and we'll wrap up.
No worries.
If you were to win one race in 2020 on the Indy Lights schedule, which one are you circling on your calendar now as a must win?
Well, I think everyone's going to be circling the same one, and that will be the Freedom. It's such a big race, and it's unlike any other race that you'll do in Indy Lights. It's like the Indy 500, but for Indy Lights. So I think that's the one that drivers put on a pedestal heading into their season. You know, it opens doors for you everywhere. So I think that's definitely the one that most drivers, including myself, would say that's the one that we're gunning for. Awesome.
I love it. Well, Toby, thank you very much for joining me on this quick recording here. Best of luck in 2020.
No problem. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. And hope to see you on the grid in a couple of weeks.
I'm sure you will. We are working away and we have some few tricks and bits and bobs up our sleeves.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck.
Thanks very much.